Hey there, wanderers and night owls, welcome back to Sleepy Crossroads, where we linger at the shadowy border of the strange, the secretive, and the downright eerie. I'm your host, and tonight, we're stepping into a tale that'll wrap around you like a fog you can't shake. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, light a candle to keep the darkness at bay, and settle in, because we're diving into the hidden world of the Brethren, a modern Christian sect from Australia that's less about hymns and more about control, seclusion, and a leader who rules like a king. This is episode 5, and we're about to unravel a group that's been quietly thriving in the shadows, pulling families apart and dodging the spotlight. So, grab a warm drink, lock the door, and let's meet at the crossroads. Alright folks, imagine a quiet suburb in Sydney, where a family disappears from their neighborhood, cutting ties with everyone they know to join a group that bans TVs, phones, and outsiders. That's the Brethren, a secretive Christian sect, sometimes called the Exclusive Brethren or Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, that's been around since the 1800s but feels like it's stuck in a time warp. With a global reach and a knack for staying under the radar, they've got a reputation for strict rules, political meddling, and some seriously unsettling vibes. So, what's the deal with the Brethren, and why are they still stirring whispers in the shadows? Let's dive into this 20-minute tale of faith, fear, and forbidden tech, step by quiet step. Chapter 1. The Roots of a Secret Sect. Let's start back in the 1820s, in England, where a group of Christians decides the mainstream churches are too worldly. They form the Plymouth Brethren, wanting a purer, simpler faith based on the Bible alone. Fast forward to the 1950s, and a splinter group, the Exclusive Brethren, gets even stricter, led by a series of iron-fisted leaders. By the 2000s, under Bruce D. Hales, an Australian accountant turned man of God, they rebrand as the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, but everyone just calls them the Brethren. They're small, maybe 50,000 members worldwide, but their influence is big, especially in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. The Brethren don't do churches like you think, no grand cathedrals or public services. They meet in plain halls or homes, focusing on Bible study and a lifestyle that's all about separation from the world. Under Hales, who's been leading since 2002, they've doubled down, banning members from anything deemed sinful, like the internet, movies, or even eating with non-members. It's a cult that looks like a church, but it's got a grip tighter than a locked gate, and it's been pulling in families for decades. Chapter 2. The Beliefs, Purity or Prison. So, what do the Brethren believe? It's all about being God's chosen, living a life so pure it's like they're already halfway to heaven. They take the Bible literally, focusing on verses about separating from worldly. Why influences? They see themselves as the only true Christians, with everyone else, Catholics, Protestants, you name it, lost in sin. Their leader, Bruce Hales, is the elect vessel, a divinely appointed guide whose word is final. He's not a prophet, but he might as well be, with members hanging on his every sermon. They're big on separation, cutting off anything that could taint their faith. That means no TV, no radio, no smartphones unless strictly controlled for work. They believe the world's corrupt, headed for divine judgment, and only their tight-knit community will be saved. Kids are raised in this bubble, homeschooled or sent to Brethren-run schools, taught to fear outsiders. It's not just about faith, it's about control, with rules dictating everything from your clothes, think modest, 1950s style, to who you marry. Step out of line, and you're withdrawn from, shunned by everyone, even your family. It's a belief system that feels like a fortress, or a cage. Chapter 3. The Rituals, Closed Doors, and Strict Rules. Let's talk about what it's like inside the Brethren. Picture a meeting hall, plain, no decorations, just rows of chairs and a table for the Bible. Services are daily, sometimes twice a day, with men leading prayers and women staying silent, per their strict gender roles. Members sing hymns, study scripture, and listen to Hale's teachings, often piped in from Australia via audio recordings. It's intense, with hours of worship and fellowship that leave little room for anything else. Outside the hall, life's a rule book. Members live in Brethren-only neighborhoods, work for Brethren-owned businesses, like construction firms or office supply companies, and avoid worldly contact. Kids face strict discipline. Ex-members describe being spanked for small infractions, like sneaking a comic book. Technology's a big no-no, unless it's filtered through Brethren-approved systems, like their own internet network. They even have shunning lists, naming those who've left or disobeyed, ensuring everyone cuts them off. Recruitment's rare, they mostly grow through families, but they'll pull in converts with promises of salvation, only to lock them into the lifestyle. It's a world apart, and leaving it feels like escaping a shadow. Chapter 4. The Controversies, Politics, and Pain. Now, let's get to the dark stuff. The Brethren's been stirring up trouble for years, especially in Australia. In the 2000s, they were caught meddling in politics, funneling millions into conservative campaigns in Australia, New Zealand, and Canada to push anti-gay and anti-abortion policies. A 2023 Guardian article exposed their lobbying, with Brethren businesses funding ads and even meeting with politicians. They've got money, lots of it, from their companies, and they're not afraid to use it. The real controversy, though, is the human cost. Ex-members, like one interviewed in a 2024 BBC documentary, talk about being shunned after leaving, losing parents, siblings, even kids. Some describe psychological abuse, with leaders pressuring members to confess sins in front of the group. There's also allegations of physical discipline, especially for kids, and stories of forced marriages to keep the community tight. In 2025, ex-posts from ex-Brethren members in New Zealand share heartbreaking stories of being cut off, with hashtags like #Brethren exposed trending briefly in July. The group's secrecy makes hard evidence tough, but the whispers are loud, and they're growing. Chapter 5. The Key Players. Let's meet the figures behind the shadowy sect. Bruce D. Hales is the big boss, an Australian businessman turned spiritual leader who took over in 2002. He's not flashy like some cult leaders, but his word's law, delivered through sermons and ministry letters. His father, John Hales, ran the show before him, making it a family dynasty. The followers are mostly multi-generational, families raised in the Brethren, with names like Smith or Wilson, living in tight-knit enclaves. Ex-members, like a woman named Sarah who spoke to the BBC, are the voices breaking the silence, sharing tales of escape and loss. The real power's in the elders' local leaders who enforce Hales' rules, watching members like hawks. They're the ones who decide who's in, who's out, and who gets shunned. It's a cult without a single face, but with 1,000 eyes. Chapter 6. The Brethren Today. So, are the Brethren still around today? Oh, yeah, they're going strong, with about 50,000 members across Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and North America. They're not growing fast, recruitment's not their thing, but their communities are tight, with schools, businesses, and even charities like Rapid Relief Team, which hands out food during disasters to boost their image. A 2024 Cult Education Institute report notes they're expanding their business empire, with companies like One School Global and Universal Business Team raking in millions. Online, they're a ghost. They don't have public social media, but ex-members on X and Reddits or /cults keep the conversation alive, sharing stories of shunning and control. A 2024 podcast, Cults Unraveled, did an episode on the Brethren, calling them the cult you've never heard of. Their influence is subtle but real. Political lobbying, private schools, and a lifestyle that keeps members locked in. It's a modern cult that feels like it's from another century, and that's what makes it so creepy. Chapter 7. Why it's still unsettling. Why does the Brethren matter today? Because they show how a cult can hide behind a Bible and a smile, blending into society while controlling every part of their members' lives. Their strict rules, shunning, and political meddling are a reminder that you don't need a spaceship or a guru to be dangerous, just a closed door and a tight grip. In a world where we're all connected, the Brethren's isolation feels like a warning. Some shadows don't need the internet to grow. Plus, it's just such an obscure, gripping story, a sect that bans TVs but bankrolls politicians, locking families in a time capsule of faith. If you're into true crime, cults, or the hidden corners of our world, the Brethren's a tale that'll linger like a whisper in the dark. Stay connected, wanderers. Alright, that's our dive into the secretive, shadowy world of the Brethren. I hope you're as spooked and hooked as I am by this obscure cult that's hiding in plain sight. If you loved this episode of Sleepy Crossroads, drop us a review, share it with your creepy loving friends, and let me know, what's next? Another hidden gem like the 2x2s, or maybe something totally out there? Hit me up on X or at sleepycrossroads.com. Check the show notes for sources, like that Guardian article and the Cults Unraveled podcast. Until next time, keep your heart open, your mind sharp, and stay safe at the crossroads. Good night, wanderers.